How are we doing, folks? Well, back in the garage again, and we've a few jobs still to do on this engine, obviously. So one of the things I did in my haste was fit the turbo and I need to take that back off again because it turns out I actually needed to use the exhaust manifold of the old engine. So I've since removed that and removed the turbo from the old engine as well too. So I have painted them up. It's looking pretty smart, isn't it? I think that'll do. So can't be having dirty parts going onto the engine, you know. Anyway, so that's painted. And I have the heat shields painted up as well too. But the first thing we need to do is we need to take the turbo back off this. And we need to take the exhaust manifold off the engine. Yeah, let's set about doing that. Luckily enough, I have all of the proper parts arriving for the engine now. Well, I sincerely hope so. The timing belt is done. I did get the right timing belt in the end. I did the timing belt swap in a different video, simply because of the fact that there's people out there who might want to actually know specifically how I did the timing belt swap on this engine, and it took me about 15 minutes. It's a pretty simple job if you do it the method I used. A lot of people won't agree with it. Leave your trolling comments below, or criticisms or whatever. I really don't mind, to be honest with you, because it works fine. I've rotated the engine over by hand a good few times and everything's 100%. If the pump timing was out slightly before this, I don't have the inclination to go and reset the pump timing and valve timing and all that as well. It's fine. Look, it'll be grand. I mean, if it's out by half a degree. And I doubt it's even that. So anyway, yeah, without further ado, let's get this turbo back off. First of all, I need to remove the oil supply, and yeah, we'll get a spanner. It's a 17mm spanner, and I'm hoping that by doing this, actually, it will allow me to use the proper hydraulic pipes that I got made up. Oh God. The union is turning. Okay, so I need to use I need to get a second 17mm. Just hold that union while I do the pipe. Clattered my ankle off the gearbox. That was nice. I enjoyed that. It's just behind you, by the way. Right, so this is the solid oil supply line. I actually had an incident with my old engine where the oil supply line split and poured all the oil out of the engine as I was driving along, but it actually completely pulled out of it completely pulled out of its ferrule, and as a result the oil was pouring out all over the outside of the turbo and everything as well too, instead of through the turbo, and it baked the old turbo because the turbo wasn't getting any oil. And then my oil pressure light came on after it had dumped all its oil, but by then it was too late for the turbo. But unfortunately, where I was driving, it was just entirely unsafe to stop. Now, you make a decision. Are you going to risk cooking your engine, or are you going to are you going to drive on and make sure you can find somewhere safe to pull in? I mean, myself and my wife were in the car, or in the van, and I was not stopping to take a risk like that, so I kept driving, much to my annoyance. If I had somewhere to pull in, I mean, to be honest with you, the engine soldiered on for a good while after that, but I just, as I said, my trust in it is gone. So yeah, now I need to get a 12mm socket for the heat shields. So let's see if I can find a 12mm socket, would be great. I did have one. There it is. Okay, it's one of these two. It's this one here. There we go. Okay. Everything else 13mm. I decided to go with 12mm on these. It's going to be okay. It's pretty disgusting. Okay, so now we need to go around and remove all of them. Okay, but first of all, let's get the turbo out of the way. Remove it from harm's way. Of course, it's a 12mm socket I need there, or 12-point socket, not a 6-point socket. So should have a 12-point socket around for that. Take off the one at the back. That's a 6-point. There's a 6-pointer in there, so we should be able to get that. Let's see if we can get it with the impact going. I might just. Not a chance. It's just me being lazy, to be honest. I like that noise. Boom! So using the JX manifold may well allow us to actually re-index the turbo the way I wanted to re-index it in the first place. Re-indexing a turbo basically means that the oil drains directly out the bottom. What you're doing is you're turning the centre housing in relation to the inlet plenum and turbine plenum, and yeah, you need the oil to drain directly out, because when you shut the engine off, you've no oil pressure to supply, and what will happen is any oil that's in the turbo will sit in the turbo. If the oil drains on the side, the oil is going to pool in there, and with temperatures involved in the turbo, you can end up with the oil coking up, and coked up oil is not a good thing to have in your turbo, because what can happen is it'll ruin the bearing, and you can ruin an oil seal as well too. You ruin an oil seal in a turbo, what happens then is you get a serious headache, simply because of the fact that the engine can run on its own oil and completely ruin it. If it runs on its own oil, you've no control over the RPM of the engine. Let's see now. I'll use a UJ on this. Yeah, I'll get a UJ. Might not need a UJ. Let's see if the long extension works. Yes, it will. Okay. Right, the torque is broken. Buzzed about with this now. That's one bolt out. Next bolt, make sure we support the turbo. Okay, now that's the turbo off. Straightforward enough. So now we need to start removing the manifold. In amongst all of this, I realised as well too that EGR blanking plate I got was actually nothing to do with the reliability of the engine or anything like that. But because of the fact that I'm using the old manifold, I don't have a takeoff for the EGR valve, so I can't use it even if I wanted to. As I said, it's a learning curve. What I might do at the end of all of this, and I actually have this job done, is a video on how I did everything, or would have liked to have done everything if I was doing it the right way. Because a lot of this is me figuring things out on my own, or making phone calls on a Saturday afternoon to people and annoying them, because I do most of my work on the Saturday, and it's because I work Monday to Friday. These big thick washers on this as well too, so just make sure you get all of them off. And then the last one's in there, but what you need to do now is take the EGR valve off altogether. Alright, they used a big ignorant washer there as a, or a big ignorant nut there as a washer. Anyway, not a problem. Okay, get that out of the way. Turbo oil feed is out of the way. I'm going to take those two cap head bolts out of there as well too now. So I just need to get an Allen key. I'm sure I have a set of Allen key bits that I could have used for this, but I can't find them anywhere, so let's just take them. Of course. Oh Jesus, why did I use so many ugga-duggas to tighten this? Do not need to be this tight. There you go. The Nielsen breaker bar I got a while back. And it's the business actually. It was quite cheap, but I use it a lot. Right, so that's that off. And this will allow us to remove this altogether. So I presume with all of this then I don't actually need to run the solenoid that controls the EGR valve either. That's that out of the way, right? So I'm going to actually do it. I'm going to put the blanking plate back on now. So that's probably one of the many times when people were like, what the hell is he doing? Will you just take the bloody thing off? But I didn't know to take it off, so I do now. It's off. Actually the bolt is just a fraction too long. Oh no, there we go. Ha! And then there you go. Somebody had already blanked it off on the other end. It's tight going in, but try getting the tap and cleaning out the hole. It's going on, it's staying on. It'll be grand. There we go. Right, so that's our EGR blanking plate fitted properly now. There's our EGR, previously deleted EGR valve, and I'm going to throw it over there. Now, you can get the last nut off for the manifold. And the stud came out there as well too. Not a problem so long as it didn't take the threads out of the head. So that's that off as well. So gaskets. I don't have new gaskets actually, in fact I'm just cleaning these ones up. They're kind of compression gaskets, so they'll be alright. I just noticed here as well too, it says 1.9 DI on the block. I wonder what the difference is in the block for these as well, these compared to say the 1.9 D TD block that's actually in the van at the moment. So it's obviously specified it's specified for a TDI engine or a DI engine. I suppose it could be for the 1.9 SDI as well. The SDI is a non-turbocharged diesel injected engine. As slow as a cart horse apparently, but there you go. Yeah, take these gaskets off and just give them a little clean up, and they'll be absolutely fine. Yeah, they're compression gaskets, but as I said, I don't have any new ones. They'll be alright. Right. Okay, cleaning time. Again, you don't need to see me cleaning stuff, so I will pause you here. Okay, so far as I can tell, you fit the adapter plates to the turbo before you put the turbo onto the manifold, and then you put the turbo onto the manifold before you put the manifold onto the engine. So that would seem to make sense to me. So basically what we have is we have two adapter plates and this chin plate. Don't know what it's for yet, we'll figure it out. Okay, right. So there's the adapter plate for the turbo to manifold, okay? And you see there's two cap head bolts in there already, okay? So I just put them in and I just dropped one of them there. Okay, so it's back in now and we will let you guys have a look there and pop it in there. Right, so that goes there. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to do the M6 nuts or M6 bolts to go around the turbo inlet and exhaust plenums, just to allow me to re-index it then once we have everything set up. I'll do that before I put everything on because well, I suppose we'll have to take it off again anyway. And then that bolt there goes there. Okay, so that a good nip. There we go. Alright, so they're fully tight now. Right, so that's the adapter plate on there, right? Now you see there's 4 threaded holes in here, okay, and those 4 threaded holes will now mate up with the manifold, which is behind there. I'm after getting dirty footprints all over the the heat shields I had. Anyway, we won't worry too much about that. In fairness, it's hardly going to be seen. And you can see the flange on the that's the flange on the old manifold. The flange on the new manifold for the turbo is there, right? So you can see why we need an adapter plate. 4-bolt versus 3-bolt flange. So anyway, right, so that's that. So now I need to get the old bolts out of the van. I think I left them at the back of it, and we'll offer that turbo up and get that all set up. And then we can start actually bolting the turbo onto the. Well, I think what we might do is actually, I'm just thinking, I don't see any reason why we need to bolt the turbo onto the manifold yet, because it's just going to get in our way when we're actually putting the nuts on. So let's bolt the turbo onto the head now, right? So bring you guys up here so you can see what I'm at. I'm fisting my way through this as usual. So there's 4 different gaskets so far as I can tell. Oh, maybe not. Okay, so that goes like that. That goes there. That one goes there. Okay, so that's the way they're supposed to be. Work. Alright, yeah, they'll stay on like that. Yeah, so there is 4 different shaped gaskets. This pipe can be bent up out of the way. I'm not going to be using it anyway. Right, so hang on a second now. Have that upside down. Yeah, that's better now. Okay. So we'll start with the stud that the nut and washer can cut, or the stud that came out of the head when I was removing everything else. Okay. And nuts and washers on the rest of them. This is apparently a cast manifold, although the other one seems to be cast as well too. Maybe there's a version of it that's forged, or a version of it that's machined or something like that, I'm not sure. Anyway, so, and there it is. I knew there was another nut that was the right type. They're like they have a shoulder on them, these nuts, and the other ones I was looking at didn't have that shoulder. Okay, so let's buzz them up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get a 3/8 drive socket and extension for that, because I can't get in at some of the bolts very well. The nuts, I keep saying bolts, nuts, the nuts. I'll be back myself. Okay, that's working a lot better now. Take the UJ off, the other extension, don't need them. Okay, that's the exhaust manifold on now. So that allows us to bolt the turbo on properly and to re-index that. So basically what we need to do in order to re-index it properly, we need to actually tilt the engine onto its side, or at least get a kind of a gauge as to what way it should be. But what I'll do is I'll put the heat shields onto the manifold first. And then this is the one that goes in the bottom. So I think this one goes on first. Yeah, this one goes on first and that one goes on second. We have them, we may as well use them. So, I'm tripping over it. Oh, tools and everything all over the place here. And see this heat shield and the source of an annoying rattle at some stage or another in the van, but at least if it's there I'll know it's that. If it's not there then I'll be wondering what it is, so that's why I'll put it on. Somewhere in there there's logic. Not exactly sure where, but me tackling this at home in my garage I would suggest flies in the face of logic in itself, so okay, and I know that one's a 13. Just threw one 13 in there just for good measure, just by way of a curveball. And 12 mil sockets over the other end of the garage, the 12 mil 3/8 point, or 3/8 drive even. Okay, manifold with heat shields is now fitted. That's the job, isn't it? I'm happy with that. So we now have our EGR blanking plate, which you probably can't see. So, EGR blanking plate is now fitted, the manifold is fitted, timing belt is fitted, the turbo is ready to fit, and yeah, I think what I'll do is I'll just go and get the bolts that hold the turbo on, bolt that on, and I will call it a night. I'm going to pick this up again another time. So let's do that. Okay, so I have the turbo oil feed pipe on there now anyway. It goes onto the top of the oil water heat exchanger, which is on top of the actual oil filter. So that's in place now. So next thing to do is to put the turbo on, right? So the turbo obviously goes here, right? And the oil feed pipe will come up over the engine and go on there. It's a bit tight there, I'll have to put it in underneath the intake manifold. Anyway, it doesn't need to go on yet because we still need to re-index everything. So let's worry first of all about getting these in, right? And we'll go from there. So okay, that's not going anywhere now. And the other thing as well too I have to do is, and this is something I was actually given a particular warning about, one of the bolts is about to come out, well, it was never in the first place, was that I have to be aware of the fact that the bolts have to be the right length. Now these are the bolts that came out, and also that heat shield is getting on the way, so let's just bend that out of the way as well too, right? So see, this is, we're modifying things here, you know, it's the whole object of the game here. Oh, broke out the way crazy. Let's get that I'll do is I'll get a hammer and I'll knock that flat actually. That would do the job then. It's not pretty, but it does the trick. So, there we go. Now, yeah, perfect. Okay, and one of the bolts is different because in the past I actually had to replace a bolt that broke on me. So I couldn't get one of the, well, I didn't get one of the original bolts. I probably could have done if I looked hard enough, but I didn't. I don't have them. You know what? Let's get some track lubricant on these. Very, very dry going on together. I'm not happy with that. I'm just cutting corners by not doing that, to be honest. And it's not good enough. So, a bit of copper grease on all the threads, and they should walk in. Okay, we have copper grease. So they're on, they should go in an awful lot nicer now. Ah, yeah. Much better. Okay, we get our 12mm 12-point socket, which I had to go out and get specially for this job because I don't have the. When I say this job, I mean I had to get it in the past for replacing turbos on VW engines. So the things relatively loose for the moment, and come back to that. Bolt just doesn't want to line up with the hole. Unfortunately, the only thing I'm noticing here now is the fact that there still isn't enough room to actually re-index the turbo. So I think at this stage I'm just going to have to run it as it is. I'm not really happy with that, to be honest with you. But we can do, I suppose. Also as well too, back them off. It feels like it's going somewhere now. It's a bloody time. And this one here looks like a 15mm socket, so I have to get one down. I'm sure it's not 17. How it is 17. So I just want to get a start on it. I actually did get a stainless bolt for this particular job. Okay. Stitched. Now let's get the 17mm socket and just wang that last one in, and that'll do us. The only other thing I'm thinking is, in order to re-index that, I could put a banjo fitting on it, but there was never a banjo fitting on it to begin with, so I don't know. I haven't seen anybody else doing that. The turbo is now on. Right. So, now the oil feed pipe comes over here. And even there it's tight, like so. I mean, I'll get it on, but it's not ideal. The last thing I want to do then afterwards is put the oil drain pipe on, and the reason I want to put the oil drain pipe on now is because of the fact that it allows us to then put the oil in the engine. Because the next job after this, and apparently it's due to arrive now to Bomber the next day, is to fit the flywheel. When I fit the flywheel I want to crank it over, and if I want to crank it over I need to have oil in it. So there's a fitting down there on that sump. And what I need to do is remove the fitting. The reason being is because the drain fitting is a -8 fitting, okay? But on the bottom of the original turbo it was just a threaded hole, and what I did was I got the oil pipe made up to actually go into that threaded hole, so it doesn't have a union on it, or it doesn't have it's a male union on the end rather than a female union, and that's not going to fit into the bottom of this turbo. But what I did was I got a -8 adapter to go on the bottom of this, so if I put the pipe on the other way around and put the female union put the male union into the bottom of the sump and the female one onto the bottom of the turbo, it should work, provided that the sizes are right. So that is a 19, I'm guessing. So let's pop that out. Let's have a look and see if that'll fit. Not at all. Nowhere near. Right, okay. You know what I think? You know what size I think it is? I think it's adjustable size. I have Gansey load. Gansey load is like an Irish slang term for a load, just a lot. Gansey is the Irish word for jumper. That should get it out. There you go. No messing about here. That's our union out. Now we need to get the pipe off the bottom of the old turbo. Put the dash A pipe fitting on the bottom of the new turbo and hope for the best. Okay folks, you join me on another day in the garage anyway, and we seem to have the right flywheel, but before I even try and fit that, I want to button up everything to do with the belts here on this end of the engine. Okay, so I have the cover here to go back on, and I've put on the new tensioner already. It's just a single bolt that goes through the back of it anyway. It's very straightforward. But yeah, so basically there's 3 bolts holding this on, and you'll see there, that's where the idler pulley goes, and it goes up around like let's see now. Yeah, I just realised straight away I've done something wrong. I need to take that pulley off. So we might be able to just get it around. Let's have a quick look and see. No. Okay, we'll try that again. So yeah, basically I took the bottom pulley off anyway, so we should be able to fit that cover now. So here we are. That should go like this. So, not too bad. Couple of bolt holes on it. Okay, so there's a long one there anyway. So we need to get a socket just to buzz that in. Get a 10mm. So here we are. Here's our 10. Leave it loose for the moment. Okay. That's that there, and then there's another one that goes here. Now I need to find that bolt, but we can leave it be for the moment anyway, okay? Because we'll be able to get in at that afterwards. Let's just put this bottom pulley on next. Okay, so 3 cap head bolts, just pop them in there, so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, now I will get a suitable M6 bolt to wind in the or to pull that in now in a minute. Okay, that's one. Okay, that's that done. Ooh, knocking the camera, that's a good idea. So yeah, so we have that on, that's our tensioner, then our alternator, obviously, and then that's driven off a bottom pulley. Now we need to fit the bottom pulley, so let's get that on now. So, 4 long cap head bolts on this. It's a bit dusty. Okay, there's one. It's like these ones don't want to line up. Let's have a quick look and see. I'm wondering are they are two of the holes offset? Maybe this pulley is balanced. So let's have a look and see. Look at this dowel. Okay, so if you actually have a look in there, at the back there there's a hole here, and a hole here, and then there's another hole here, and there's a dowel pin there, well, a locating pin. So that's obviously just to make sure that it goes on the way it came off. So yeah, that should be it now. Let's just offer it up again quickly. There we go. Yeah, sorry, I'm being a dope. There's one hole there, and it goes. Yeah, that feels a bit better now. Bolt. Yeah, so obviously the pulley is balanced. Makes sense, really. It's really balanced as part of the whole assembly, the whole crankshaft assembly, or at least it might be. So we'll buzz these in. The bolts will always grip the tool better than the actual socket. Now, just take our Allen key bit out. There we go. Now, right, so that's our bottom pulley on. Timing belt cover is on. I'll get a new bolt for that. I think that was actually missing when we started the job. So let's go and get a short bolt and pop that in now. It's weird. There's no threads on the back of that actually. There's no captive nut or anything like that. So I'm not going to put anything in it because trying to get a nut onto the back of that would be a nightmare. And if I ever have to remove it, it's going to be an even bigger nightmare. So let's just leave it where it is. It's not really going anywhere anyway. Once the top timing cover is on, that's going to be absolutely fine. So next we can put our V-belt on, and then that's basically everything down this end of the engine more or less finished. So now we need to go around and we need to have another look at that turbo because I'm still not happy with how everything is sitting on it. If you look there, right, basically that down here is the bottom of the engine. If you see there, right, so that would be flat, and so the drain needs to be kind of at that angle as well too. So if we're going to get the turbo oil drain working properly, we need to get that right. So what I might do is I might see if I can adapt the solid oil line. The Beetle will sound so much cooler than that yoke gone by. Can't beat carburetors. Anyway, what we'll do is there's the solid oil feed line actually had a banjo fitting on one end and a threaded fitting on the other end. So we might see if we can adapt the banjo fitting to go onto this end and the threaded fitting to go onto the other end, and might mean just bending the pipe a little bit. And if that doesn't work, then what we can do is we can get a new pipe made up that has all of the banjo fitting and solid fitting and all that in place the way it should be. So let's see how we fare out with that. I just want to get this finished first of all, get the belt back on, and then we'll look at that. Hey, we're looking good. All I did to get the belt on was I just literally just put a socket on the bolt that's holding that tensioner on, and just when I turned it, it takes the tension off, and when you take the tension off, obviously you can just slip the belt on. It's quite straightforward. There's new tensioner gone onto it and everything as well too, so that's all looking pretty good here now. So we have a water pump, we have an alternator, we have a timing belt, we have tensioners in place. That's all looking good. And yeah, let's have a look at the flywheel next. and then we'll go on to the turbo afterwards. Okay, so here we are with the flywheel. You can see this one looks completely different to the other one. First of all, the ring gear is actually on the engine side rather than the gearbox side. And secondly, the clutch isn't actually an integral part of it. The clutch is a separate part. And I have the clutch there as well too, but annoyingly, I don't have the bolts. And that's kind of... I expected that the clutch would have come with bolts, but it didn't. But anyway, look, I did order them. So, you know, they'll be here at some stage. Let's just offer this up anyway. In the meantime, make sure that we're looking a bit better than we did the last time, and we certainly are. Okay. Jeez, I tell you what, they made that they made that adapter plate very close. Well, it's clear, is it? So that's grand. Okay, so that's going to work for us. At least it should do anyway. If not, I will actually go mental. But anyway, fortunately enough, the company who I bought the original clutch and flywheel assembly off gave me a refund. So thank you for that, Autocessive, on eBay. I am impressed with their service. And I actually bought the clutch off them as well too for this. So we're all right on that front. Anyway, look at, yeah. So that's we're doing okay. So I'll have the new. Today is Friday. I'll have the new bolts for both the flywheel and the clutch on Tuesday, and we'll be able to fit everything then. So let's just leave that aside for a moment. It just means I'm not going to be able to get this cranked over, but to be honest with you, I didn't think I was going to today anyway. So next thing on the list of things to sort out is this turbo. As I said, I'm not happy with the way it is, so let's get it sorted out once and for all. I'm not gonna give up on this until I'm 100% satisfied that the turbo is going to drain the way it's supposed to. So I can't use just normal M10 bolts on the flywheel because like even just for testing it, because they're a different thread. They're like a fine thread, and yeah, so that's not a runner. I tried. But yeah, so anyway, look, it's not the end of the world. I'm not as annoyed as I was when I got the wrong flywheel. So let's get this off. The other thing I did was I actually got a new oil drain pipe made up. So once we get the oil feed pipe sorted out, you can get the oil drain done then. Let's see now how that is going to work. So yeah, see, it's a hot exhaust manifold there. So let's get you back a bit. Trying to find somewhere to put the camera tripod is becoming more difficult. Okay. The hot exhaust manifold is just not, it's not going to be too friendly to a rubber pipe. So I'm going to take that rubber pipe off and we're not going to use that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try and use the other oil pipe here, which has a banjo fitting on the end of it. Now you see there's the banjo fitting there. Right, so what I'm hoping we'll be able to do is that'll go on there somehow. And then it's just a case really of, you definitely can't see where you are there now, right? So that can go on there somehow, and then we'll just have to try and gently, very very gently, bend this pipe around the other direction and see if we can get it to bend around where we need it to be. But yeah, so let's try and do that. So we need to get the union out first of all from the top of the turbo. And I actually have an AM10 union to go on the bottom rather than the flanged union that's on it there now, because I won't be using that. So there's a little gasket on that. We'll need that for our banjo fitting. Just leave that there for the moment. As I say, I want to get a rough ballpark kind of location for this. Make sure it actually fits. Oh, baby's crying. It's not my baby. Local neighbour runs a creche, that's what the crying is about. Okay. So that works there, right? So we're all right on that front. But obviously the pipe going up over like that is not going to work. It really needs to go around the front of the engine. This would be the back of the engine on a Passat. It'd be the side of the engine on an Alhambra, but in the van it's going to be the front. Okay, so what I'm doing now is I am unbolting the 8 bolts that actually hold the turbine plenum and the compressor housing in place on the turbo. And I have the oil line connected on both ends here. It's not the nicest work I've ever done, but it'll do the trick for the moment. And then what I think I will do is I'll probably get an oil pipe made up that goes onto a solid banjo fitting and then joins a flexible line after that. I just think it's a better job, to be honest with you. And then let's have a look and see now. Okay, so I ended up taking the turbo off again because I spent enough time fighting with it to try and get the oil pipe tightened up. But it's on now, and we can fiddle with it on the other end there to get it all straightened out. I'm just putting on this AN10 fitting on the bottom of the turbo here now, and that will allow us to fit the newly made hydraulic line that I got for the drain, which is this one here. So you have the AN10 fitting there, and a Dash 8 flareless fitting on that end. So that should do the trick nicely for us. So just a case now of just tightening up those two bolts that hold on the fitting. So do that. Now, here we are. Okay, that's now on, and we can refit the turbo. So it was a bit fiddly to fit, to be honest with you, beforehand. So I fully expect it to be fiddly again this time as well. So okay. There's 2 bolts in, as this lad here goes here. And we have a 4th bolt, which has gone for a walk. It's around here somewhere. There it is. This is a stainless bolt because one of the bolts broke beforehand, so in a previous incarnation of the other turbo. So what I'll do is wind them down. I want to do it fully yet because I want to make sure they're all nearly down. Okay. So we need to try and just bend this pipe around a bit more again. It's nicely tightened up against the turbo there now. What we can do is maybe we'll just put our drain line on first of all, because I want to fit that now. Let's see how she looks. It cost me €18 to get this drain pipe made up, which I thought was reasonable enough. And that will go onto there. So that should do the job nicely. So we'll put our fitting back into the bottom of the crankcase that I took out. Okay. Number one rule of fitting a pipe is that you tighten it as soon as you fitted it, so that you don't forget about it. So I'm going to get a spanner now and tighten both ends of that. I'd say it could be imperial fittings, so one of them would probably be a 7/8, and the other one looks like an inch and a quarter or so. So nothing an adjustable can't take care of. I'm not going rooting for my imperial tools at home. I have plenty of them here. I have plenty of them in work. There we go. Literally, it's a millimetre out the door. Let's just gumper it on for the moment. That way. That's on now. It's not going anywhere. Okay. Okay, so I think I've gone as far as I can with the engine for the moment anyway, without having the flywheel bolts. Kind of annoying again, I'm held up, but it just seems to be the way this goes. Anyway, look at it's starting to look a lot more finished anyway. So we have all our belts on, new tensioners, the manifold is fitted, turbo is now fitted and indexed properly. So if you look, you might be able to tell the way the sump is in relation to the bottom of the turbo. So that means that this fitting here will drain straight out the bottom, and then we have our banjo fitting here which comes around and goes into the top of the oil filter housing, which is over there, right? Pretty it is not, but functional it is. Okay, so that's that done. Over on this side we really haven't done a huge amount. So we still have to change the oil filter. I have a new oil filter for it, and we have to change the dipstick as well too, but we'll get them off the van. And yeah, basically I could actually fill it with oil now, but I think I might just stop short of doing that at this point in time. Next thing I want to do is I want to set up the breather system on the gearbox, because it eludes me a little bit and I want to figure it out. I'm quite happy with how the engine has worked out so far. I mean, when I actually have it cranking over, I'll be an awful lot happier then. But yeah, for the moment, let's just leave it there. So the gearbox is behind me. So here we are. Now, so basically what we're looking at here is, this was the bottom of the gearbox. I'll show you now. This was the bottom of the gearbox. It's now the top of the gearbox, okay? So that plug needs to come out. I had to buy a special tool for it. Thank you for that, Volkswagen. I have a breather attachment, and to the best of my understanding, the part I actually used to make a breather is the bit that would have originally been the turbo oil return on the side of the block. So if it is, that's handy enough. I mean, I have it, so I can use it. But let's get our tool for removing the sump plug, and remove the sump plug first of all. So, my trusty impact gun again. If you're going to tackle a job like this, buy an impact gun. Oh, lovely. It walked out. Happy days. Right, so that's that out. We won't be using that again. And then that goes in there. Like so. What I'll do is I'll actually get a suitable size socket for driving at home now. Oh, what size are we at? That is a 30mm, so I'd say it's a 32. You know what size it is? It's channel lock size. I do not have a 32mm socket to hand. I don't think I have one at all, whatever got to hand. Actually, hang on. I've got a box load of spanners and sockets and everything over here. So let's see if it helps us. That is what. Let's see. There we go. Use that. It's a 3/4 drive, so I have a breaker bar that will do the trick for that. But okay, so that's a drain. That is our breather fitting put in. Just because I'm using a breaker bar doesn't mean I'm going to stitch it. It's just what I have to hand. There we go. That's home now. Right, so let's have a look at this drain fitting, turbo drain fitting. I mean. Okay, let's see if that goes in there. Yes, it does. Beautiful. Okay, so that's obviously what you're supposed to do. Either that or once again I'm making it up as I go along, and I'll figure out at a later stage if I've done it wrong and I have to undo it to redo it properly. So what I'm looking for now is the actual pipe that goes on. Well, it turned out it was actually quite straightforward. And that's the turbo oil return fitting that would have been on the side of the block originally. Now, I suppose if you're only changing the gearbox and you're not changing the engine, that's a bit inconvenient. But I'm sure Ultimate Engineering can provide you with the bits you need if you ask nicely. But anyway, I already had them, and probably most people will. So anyway, that's grand. So we're not using that for its original purpose anymore. So in it goes. And what I did was I cut off the rest of the pipe that would have gone up to the turbo. So we were just left with a little bit that we could stick the rubber hose onto. And if you follow around the other side here, sorry about that. If you follow around the other side here, there is the other breather fitting here, which would originally have been on the top of the gearbox, but it's now on the bottom, and that comes up to a Y splitter, and then just comes up to atmosphere. And what I might do is I might just get a little filter to pop onto that. Maybe it goes onto something, I'll have to ask actually. If it doesn't, if it just vents to atmosphere, then I will get one of those little filters so that the gearbox isn't sucking in any nasties at all. As I said, it is just a breather, but yeah, so that's all good. Next step is to fill the gearbox with oil, so I'm going to do that now. Now, apparently you do fill it to spill, but what you do is you have to put a lot more oil in because the gearbox is now upside down. So I think it's something along the lines of 4.5 litres. Fortunately enough, I have that amount of oil there. So we'll take out the fill plug and we'll start filling. So obviously the first thing we need to do is we need to get the gearbox into the correct orientation. In order to do that, we need to make some space here because the garage has descended into chaos again, as is standard operating procedure for me. I say it's going to be in a normal orientation, normal for the van. Oh, why is it done? Okay, right, now let's get our fill plug out. Do you ever get the impression that they're out to try and thwart you with these things? I need to take the adapter off. I really was hoping I wasn't going to have to do that, but anyway. I could just fill it through the drain here. I think I will do that. Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, you're not going to obviously filling it to spill this way, but we'll fill it. We'll put 4.5 litres into it. So that comes out. And funnel goes in. Now we need to get this up towards the top as well, because the oil is obviously going to want to find its own level. And then here's our oil. I'll move you guys back a bit so you can see a bit better. Let's see how much oil have we got here. This would have been 4 litres, and it's still full, so it's 3.5 litres, and let's throw that in for the moment. I can get another litre at some stage. In it goes. So I just said it's about 3 litres of oil in there now, so we'll get another litre and throw it into it. I'll see if I have another litre of oil actually now. I don't think I do, but no. Okay. So the situation as it stands now is that I have dirt in my forward first of all, so it's a bit better. Secondly, the engine, once we get the flywheel attached to it and the clutch and everything put on, then we are in a position where we can actually fit the gearbox to the engine. I'm not going to do that yet, not until I get the old engine out of the van and I'm pretty much ready to fit it. But what I will do is, right now actually, I want to just make doubly sure that I got the right clutch by putting the clutch friction plate onto the input shaft in the gearbox and making sure it mates up with the splines properly. Once I get the bolts for the flywheel, then it's a case of spinning it over, spinning the engine over, and building up oil pressure, making sure everything sounds alright, and then we'll start looking at our wiring and getting all that set up. So we're kind of, we are trundling and we're moving along nicely. We'll get there in the end. I'm just looking over at the engine here now. Anyway, it is looking a lot better. See, I actually, on the day that I had an absolute disaster, I actually did give the engine a good clean externally, which did make all the difference. I might still take that rocker cover off and paint it, but to be honest with you, any seals that I don't have to disturb, I don't want to disturb. So I'll just leave it be. To be honest with you, it doesn't need to be cosmetically beautiful, but yeah, I mean it's not bad at this stage. So anyway, look, I'll leave this video here for now, and we'll pick this up then hopefully next week and get this cranked over. So that's kind of the next step really in this whole project, and yeah, hopefully you'll join me then. Talk to you soon.